Hello everyone, it's Farket here, and in this video I'm going to show you the most effective way of killing the worm, or worms. Now probably the most effective way is that if you see it coming towards your base, is to save and exit and reload, and it will despawn. Though if you actually want to deal with it, here are some ways. Now if you're going to go down the weapon route, I highly recommend using the tennis racket. The reason for this is that the tennis racket has a very low stamina usage, which means that you can pretty much swing it indefinitely and not run out of stamina. So if you simply just walk around swinging at the worms, hitting them one by one, you're going to kill it fairly quickly and you won't run out of stamina, so you'll be able to keep hitting the whole time. The worms will duplicate as you're killing them, so it can take a while. The tennis racket only uses 4 stamina per swing. The worm does have a 5% chance of spawning after day 40, so it is quite rare. By that time, you should have a fair amount of athleticism, so your stamina regen will be high enough that you should be able to swing the tennis racket non-stop. If you're sprinting in between kills, you're going to run out of stamina, so just take it easy. If you're using melee weapons, make sure you're hitting it as it's forming its structure as well, because you want to take it down ASAP. Now for these tests, when I spawned in the worm, I waited until it hit me first, then I commenced killing it, so I was able to perform the test consistently. The next weapon I used was the katana. This is also very good. Now the benefit of the katana is that it swings a lot faster and its AoE is quite a lot higher than the tennis racket, so you're going to hit more. Problem with it is that it uses 7 points of stamina per swing, which means that it uses almost twice as much stamina as the tennis racket. So you're going to run out of stamina very quickly if you're just swinging it non-stop. In this test I have max athleticism and I still run out. So you really want to plan your attacks with this one. Don't just swing aimlessly. It actually took about 30% longer to take it out with a katana than it did with a tennis racket. So if you're going to use one of these weapons, I'd recommend the tennis racket, though I know a lot of people like the katana. So it's up to the individual. The worm does have very low health, so you can one-shot it with a tennis racket. Now I thought that the spray can would be very good against the worm, though while they're on fire they can still duplicate, so it's not 100% the best. I tried finishing them off with a flare gun and that was just a complete mess. They were duplicating so fast that I was barely able to kill them. The flare gun's not recommended. Now I thought the crafted bow might be alright due to its fast attack speed, though there's just too many. I don't recommend using the crafted bow. You really need a melee weapon of sorts if you're going down the weapon route. Now I tried it with the chainsaw and this is actually a very good weapon as well, though it did cost me half a tank of fuel. But you're pretty much able to hit them one hit, 5 hits per second. You're able to take down quite a lot of them. The main issue is that it slows down your movement speed once you start using it, so it can make it a bit hard to chase them down. Though if you want to go down the trap route, there's one way I'd recommend, and that's to make a kill box with leaf pile traps. The best way to do it is to have 8 and just to make like a box shape and finish them all. That's going to cost you 400 leaves and it can take a while to build them. Though what you could do is just have it as an emergency trap. You put it outside your base. If you see a worm coming, you go into the middle of it and then you set it on fire while they're around you. And because they keep jumping towards you, they're literally jumping towards their death. It takes them out about 5 to 10 seconds and it kills all the worms. Now, something that you might not know is that the girl mutant that spawns if you pick the ending of the game that allows you to continue playing, that actually drops a worm when it dies. If you allow that to live, it will spawn non-stop and keep respawning until it forms a full worm. So you might want to take that out. Unless you want to try out some ways to kill it, might be a good idea. Now the problem with using a kill box with the leaf pile traps on such a small zone is that if it's ever able to hit you, it's going to knock you into the fire. As you can see, some worms up there. They were too far away and the fire burned out before they could actually get to it. You want to make sure that they're fairly close before using it. Otherwise you'll have to go around and pick off some of them. Though if they form their attack and hit you, there's a good chance it's going to knock you into the fire. I don't believe it can destroy the leaf pile traps though. Using the box shape with only 4 traps and it was stomping towards me didn't end well. This is on my season 5 playthrough. It knocked me into the fire, and if you've watched that, you know about the fire instant death bug, and it just killed me as soon as it knocked me into the fire instantly. I tried it again, but it formed its pillar. It knocked me into the fire again, which killed me instantly. I tried jumping out of the fire and placing armor on because it set me on fire as I did, because he was about to hit me and it would have knocked me into the fire. But no, killed me anyway. So use 8 traps, don't use 4. 4 is just too small. As you can see here, I use the 8 traps and it just works perfectly. If they're able to hit me, I should be able to be knocked onto the ground rather than into the fire. And then you can go around harvesting the bones out of them if you want to do that. If you want to use these as bone harvesters, you can. Just don't do it near your base. They barely do any damage to the player, but they absolutely wreck your structures. Now I tried using basic fires, which took a while to light, and it actually worked all right because you could probably reuse these ones, I think. They'll be better off with the fire pit. Yeah, it still knocked me into the fire and destroyed the fires as well. I don't recommend that one. On a side note, I've seen a lot of people being frustrated with the worm mutant, and I'll have to agree with a lot of the complaints about it. It's just not realistic for the game world. One of the major things is that none of the mutants could go on water, so on the end of the peninsula, they had that big cliff, they couldn't escape and start migrating elsewhere. But with them adding in that, it doesn't make sense to the story as to why they only stayed on the peninsula. If they could swim, why didn't they go elsewhere? And it's just not realistic too. The physics of it doesn't make sense. Like, a part of me likes the concept of the worm mutant, but it just doesn't fit into this game world. I think it does hurt the immersion of the game. Oh, that's just my opinion. They should add an option to turn it off. Though, like I said, if you do see it and you don't want to deal with it, just save and exit, and then reload, and it will despawn. 5% chance after day 40 isn't a lot. And hopefully if you do encounter it, it's not inside your base, because that can get messy. If you do see it in your base, leave your base and it will follow you out. It barely does any damage to you, but it really hurts your structures. The leaf pile traps can be set on fire by other things, not just the flare gun. You can use the lighter, Molotovs, and Molotov traps, though the reason I like using the flare gun is that it's instant. You can just fire it, you don't have to light something first and wait. Pick what's best for you. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers.